There is a number in football that nobody has ever reached. Not Pelé, not Messi, not Romario, not Puskas, not any player in the entire history of the sport going back as far as records exist. That number is 1,000 goals. 1,000 official goals in competitive matches for club and country. And right now, today, February 28, 2026, one man is 35 goals away from it. Cristiano Ronaldo, 41 years old. Still playing, still scoring at nearly a goal per game, still chasing, and the World Cup starts in less than 4 months. If you are a football fan and you are not paying close attention to what is happening right now, you are going to look back on this period and wish you had. Because whether he gets there at the World Cup or in Saudi Arabia after it, the countdown to goal number 1,000 is one of the most extraordinary individual storylines in the history of sport. And it is happening right now in real time. This is the full story. Where he is, how he got here, what has to happen, and exactly why this number matters in a way that almost nothing else in football does. Let us start with where he actually stands today because the number moves fast and you need the current picture. As of February 25, 2026, Cristiano Ronaldo's official career goal total is 965. That counts every goal in every competitive match for every club he has played for, plus every goal he has scored for Portugal. Club goals, Champions League goals, league goals, cup goals, international goals. Everything that counts on the official record. 965. He needs 35 more to reach 1,000. His current scoring rate this season for Al Nassr is 0.81 goals per game. Nearly a goal every single match at the age of 41. He has 18 goals in 22 games so far this season. He is not slowing down in any visible way. He scored a brace against Al Hazm on February 21. He scored a penalty against Al Najma on February 25. The man is a machine and the machine is still running. At his current pace, ESPN's research team ran the projection. And their analysis points to goal number 1,000 arriving in late November or early December 2026. After the World Cup, after his contract at Al Nassr continues into next season. Quietly, in Riyadh, rather than on the biggest stage in football. That is the most likely scenario based purely on math. But here is the thing about Cristiano Ronaldo and math. He has been defying it his entire career. So before we accept the spreadsheet version of this story, let us talk about the World Cup scenario. Because it is not as impossible as it sounds. The 2026 FIFA World Cup kicks off in June. Ronaldo and Portugal are in Group K. They will play a minimum of 3 group stage games. If they progress through the knockout rounds, which they are expected to, Portugal could play as many as 7 games. Ronaldo has scored in World Cups consistently throughout his career. He is 143 goals deep in international football, the most any man has ever scored for his country in the history of the game. He scored in the last World Cup. He will be hungry to score in this one. Between now and when the group stage begins, Al Nassr still have roughly 14 to 18 competitive matches remaining in the Saudi Pro League, local cups, and the Asian Champions League. Add the Portugal friendlies in the run-up to the tournament. Add the minimum 3 group games at the World Cup itself. If Ronaldo scores at his current rate across all of that, he arrives at the World Cup somewhere between 975 and 985 goals. Meaning he would need somewhere between 15 and 25 goals across the World Cup games to hit 1,000 during the tournament. That is a lot to ask in a knockout competition where matches get harder and defenders get better with every round. Ronaldo himself was asked about the dream of goal 1,000 happening at the World Cup. And his answer was perfect. He said, "You have been watching too many movies, that would be way too perfect." And then he smiled and said that if those numbers came true he would end his career on a high. He did not say it was impossible. He said it would be too perfect. Those are different things. And Cristiano Ronaldo has spent his entire career making perfect things happen on the biggest stages. But before we get to the future, let us slow down and actually appreciate what 965 goals means. Because the numbers are so large they start to lose meaning if you do not break them down into what they actually represent. He scored 5 goals at Sporting CP. Just a teenager, a kid from Madeira who had never left Portugal, figuring out what he was. He scored 145 goals at Manchester United across 2 spells. The first spell turned him from a flashy teenager into a Ballon d'Or winner. The second was a Messi ending that nobody wanted but that added more goals to the record anyway. He scored 450 goals at Real Madrid in 438 games. Let that number breathe for a second. 450 goals for one club. More than a goal per game on average across 9 seasons in the most competitive league in the world against the best defenders in football. He is Real Madrid's all-time top scorer by a distance that nobody will ever close. He scored 101 goals at Juventus across 3 seasons in Serie A Italian football. Historically the most defensively organized league in Europe. He still averaged more than 30 goals a season. He scored 117 goals for Al Nassr in 133 games since joining in January 2023. In a league most European football fans dismissed as a retirement home. He is averaging nearly a goal per game in his 40s. And then there is Portugal. 143 goals for his national team. The most any man has ever scored for any country in the history of international football. He has more international goals than the second-place player by 39. He is so far ahead in that specific record that it is genuinely hard to imagine anyone ever catching him. All of that adds up to 965. And counting. Now here is the part of this story that makes it genuinely different from any other individual record in football. Messi is chasing the same number. Lionel Messi, who plays for Inter Miami in MLS, sits on 889 career goals as of early 2026. He signed a new 3-year contract with Inter Miami that takes him through the 2028 season. He is 38 years old. He is 76 goals behind Ronaldo. And nobody would bet against him reaching 1,000 before he retires either. The two greatest footballers in the history of the game are both chasing the same unprecedented milestone. At the same time, in what might be the final chapter of both of their careers. One is going to get there first. One might not get there at all. And the gap between them is 76 goals that Messi has never been able to close in their entire careers. Ronaldo is going to get to 1,000 first. Almost certainly. And he is going to get there whether anyone is ready to acknowledge the scale of it or not. Here is something that puts the whole thing into a context that hits differently when you really think about it. Ronaldo has scored more goals after turning 30 than he did before it. More than half of his career goal tally has come in the second half of his career. Most elite forwards are declining sharply at 30. Most of them are retired by 35. He is 41, playing professional football at a high level, averaging 0.81 goals per game, and still 35 goals away from a number nobody has ever touched. He scored his first professional goal in 2002. He scored his 965th 3 days ago. That is 24 consecutive calendar years with at least one goal. Think about what was happening in the world in 2002. Most people watching football today were children then. Some were not born yet. And Ronaldo has scored a professional goal in every single year since. When he started his career, the concept of a player scoring 1,000 official goals was so far outside the realm of possibility that nobody talked about it as a real target. The record was something you appreciated from a distance, a theoretical ceiling that existed in conversation but not in reality. And now there is one man who is going to walk through that ceiling before he stops playing. Because he simply refused to stop. There are 2 scenarios for how this ends and both of them are worth picturing. Scenario 1. Portugal go on a deep run at the 2026 World Cup. Ronaldo scores in the group stage. He scores in the knockouts. Somehow, against every projection and every piece of data, he is standing in a World Cup semifinal or final at 41 years old, on 999 goals. And the entire world is watching him step up to take a shot. The stadium goes quiet. He scores 1,000 at a World Cup in what would be the final tournament of his career. It would be the most cinematic moment in the history of football. It would be talked about for 100 years. He called it too perfect when someone asked him about it. He is right, it would be. Scenario 2. The World Cup comes and goes. Portugal go home earlier than expected, or Ronaldo scores but not enough to hit the milestone during the tournament. He goes back to Saudi Arabia. Back to Al Nassr. Back to the desert and the routine and the daily grind of being the most relentlessly driven footballer who has ever lived. And on some Tuesday night in Riyadh in November or December 2026, in front of a stadium that is electric because the whole world has been watching the counter tick down, he scores goal number 1000. He runs to the corner flag. He does the jump and the chest puff and the spin. And the number 1000 lights up on screens around the world. Less cinematic than the World Cup version. But still completely extraordinary. Still a number nobody has ever reached. Still the end of a journey that started in 2002 when a kid from Madeira first pulled on a professional jersey and scored his first goal. He turns 42 in February 2027. His contract at Al Nassr runs through that same year. He has said he plans to retire in 1 or 2 years. He has said the 2026 World Cup will be his last. And between now and whenever he finally stop, there are 35 goals standing between him and the only number in football that has never existed before. Every match he plays from here, every goal he scores, every time the net ripples and he wheels away with that look on his face like he expected this all along and is only mildly surprised it took this long, the counter moves. 966, 967, 968, closer and closer to something the sport has never seen. People will tell their children they watched this countdown in real time. That they saw the goals ticking up. That they were watching on the night the number turned from 999 to 1000. Whether it happens at a World Cup or in Saudi Arabia or somewhere nobody predicted, that moment is coming. The math says so. And for once, even Cristiano Ronaldo's most devoted fans are not going to argue with the math. 35 goals. One number nobody has ever touched. One man left who can reach it. The countdown is on.